what we want to talk about now before we finish this video program is we want to talk about rewriting, spinning and repurposing. Now, once you've written one article, that's fantastic. That's a great start. You know, you've got, say, 10 articles back from your transcriptionist, or you've typed them out from the outline that you created. Now, the next thing to do is to make them even more powerful. You can turn that one article into 5, 10, or even 100 unique articles. A lot of the time, if you are creating, say, Web 2.0 sites or your own websites, you may not want to use the same article all over the place. It does sort of dilute its power a little. The other sites become sites that republish content and seem to get put into the supplementary results rather than in the main search results. So you want to repurpose your article as much as possible in order to maximize your income from it. Now, there's many different ways of doing this, and what we'll talk about first is rewriting. Now, here's an article. It's about the acacia berry, and we're going to pretend that we've just written this one. It's actually a PLR article that we're using for this example. Now, if we were going to rewrite it, then obviously it's simple. We just go through, we rewrite the title and each paragraph. So we would call it, let me just give you a new title. Hey, maybe something like, let's think, the acacia berry myths and truth. Something like that. So there you are. We're just giving it a new title. Says the same thing, but in pretty much a different way. Then what we can do is we can go through and rewrite each paragraph at a time. Now, I don't recommend rewriting each sentence at a time because the whole paragraph meaning will change. Rewrite each paragraph at a time. So what I would do is I would rewrite the above paragraph, and then I'll delete this paragraph here. It's gone. And that's all you do. What I would do before I did that is I'd do File, Save As, and save it as a different name so that I don't overwrite my original article. That's a good top tip there. But that's all you do. You go through, you rewrite each paragraph. Take you 5 minutes, maybe 10 at the most. But you can change the layout. Like for here, for example, I might change this to Myth 1. Something like that, for example. You know, get rid of first myth and change it to Myth 1, something like that. So that's things like that you can do to change the layout, change the way it looks, and so on and so forth. And that's sort of rewriting. It's the simplest way of doing it. You can pay people to do the rewriting for you if you would so like to do, but you don't have to. You can do it yourself. Now, the second thing we want to talk about is spinning your article. Now, there are software you can buy, and you can see here there's spinning software. There's lots of reviews. Jet Submit is one of them. The Best Spinner is another one that's apparently very popular. There's the Magic Article Rewriter, and many, many more. Now, article spinners are only as good as the person doing the spinning. Now, some of these will have an auto spin function. Trouble with the auto spin function is it doesn't come up with perhaps the best of English, and I'll demonstrate that for you now. Okay, now here's an article, the same article. I've put it in and I've set it to spin. I'll explain about the syntax in a minute. Now, if I press this button, it will rewrite the article for me. Now, if we go up to the top, let's have a look. This is auto spin. It says, on the subject of our body and its health, it's quite comprehensible that a person can be wary about the completely different products that other folks might suggest. Doesn't make some sense, yes, but who would say comprehensible? And also, you definitely should be. Well, that makes no sense whatsoever. So you can see an auto spin doesn't really make a massive amount of sense. Many products right now, particularly those produced from chemicals, may cause critical hurt to our health. That's the reason this text will tackle the various myths that have been circulating concerning the acacia berry and supply answers which have been confirmed by the numerous totally different research done on this wondrous fruit. So you can see Yes, it technically makes sense, but it looks like it's been rewritten by someone with a poor understanding of English. Now, you can obviously use this if you want and submit it to the minor article directories, which I would recommend. But I wouldn't submit this to the major article directories. It's just not high enough quality. I'd rewrite it manually or spin it manually. Once you've done the way you can spin it manually is, let me just get the article back up now, and I'll show you how you do it. Now, most spinners use this syntax. They have that, then you put in a word, then the pipe, and then word 2, and then close the curly brackets. Now, many of them support nested spinning, so that means I can put word 2A and word 2B, and you can nest a number of levels. If you're doing this manually, you have to make sure that you've got the pipes and the curly brackets in the wrong place. Miss a curly bracket out and it all gets horribly confusing, and I mean it can be very, very difficult to keep track of these. Okay, now here's an article that has been manually spun, and you can see this is the title. It's got nested spinning, and you can see here, you can see from these three here that in some cases it's 3D. So you can see, just looking at it manually, it's a little bit confusing. But if I copy it into my article spinning software, the advantage of this software is that it highlights everything in different colors, so it just makes it a little bit easier for you to see. So you can see all the nesting here. So that just makes it a little bit easier to do it if you use some software like this. But you can see that it's highly spun, and if I spin it, running shoes get stinky quite simply because of sweat. When your toes get wet from sweat, a bacteria multiplies between your toes. There's obviously a full stop missing there. The smell is caused by a bacteria growing between your toes when they get damp from sweat. Here are some tips to assist you to keep your running shoes from gassing your friends. So you can see that makes sense. That doesn't sound like it's been written by somebody with pidgin English. It sounds like it's been written reasonably well. So a decent manual spin is going to take you up to an hour, to be perfectly honest. It's not quick. I don't want to pull the wool over your eyes here. It's not rapid, but a good spin like this will make a huge difference, because you can then use this on content that is going to get human eyes. And an auto spin I would never ever use on anything which a human's going to see, because they're going to read it and instantly think that whatever's on the other end, whatever I want them to click through to, is low quality as well. So I would always use manually spun or rewritten content anywhere it's going to get human eyes. If I'm auto submitting out to the minor article directories, an auto spin's fine. But for something like this, I can then just keep spinning this article. So if we spin it again, avoid stinky running shoes, you can see it's coming up with different ones every time. So what you can do with this, of course, is then I can submit this to Ezine Articles, article based. I can use it on my website. I can use it on, I can try and give it to people as guest content on their blogs. I can submit it to Web 2.0 sites and all that. And I've got unique versions of the article pretty much all over the place, which is very, very good, because Google does seem to like unique versions. They don't penalise you too much for having duplicate content, but they definitely seem to give you a bit of a bonus if you've got unique content on there. And that's really what you do with your article. Now, sometimes, again, you can rewrite them and repurpose them. And I've got my stop my running shoes from smelling, but I've got how many tips? I've got 5 tips. I could very easily rename this article to 5 top tips for sweet smelling running shoes, or something like that. Or 5 top tips to stop your friends laughing at the smell of your shoes, and just rewrite it like that. So there's lots and lots of ideas and potential here, and really it's only limited by your imagination and your willingness to sit down and put in the effort. But if you do this and you repurpose your articles either through rewriting or spinning, you can find yourself with a massive amount of very unique articles that you can use all over the internet to really give your site a good boost up the search engines. And an article that's been highly spun like this by hand will easily get accepted onto any article directory at all. So if you really want to get value for money from your articles, then take the 10 articles you've been given and spin them or rewrite them and reuse them all over the place to maximize your revenue from those articles.